I don't think brands deserve anything.
Jack Black, his content went incredible on the platform.
We hit 1 million today. It's through the roof.
Wow. People felt pretty proud to see our famous speech under the spotlight. It's fuel it, don't force it.
Hi, Suzanne. How are you?
Hi, Fiona. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you
In
too.
front of the camera.
So should I kick things off so
Why
that we
don't
can
you?
start chatting?
Yeah, let's.
All right, let's go. So your connection to culture on platform is what sets your brands apart as CMOs. How do you judge a good idea?
Is it scalable? So a good idea is great, but if it's not something that can actually go beyond just a small audience, like in our business, it has to be scalable, which obviously,
Yeah.
The TikTok platform is fantastic for scale, but they're probably the key things that I would assess it on.
Yeah, that would be the same from my point of view as well. And I think for us, it's also a good idea feels quite organic. Like it's
Yes.
something that just naturally fits rather than I found like in the past, if you've tried to like push your brand into, onto a platform and like
Yeah.
with TikTok for us, it's like allow the creators to just sing
Absolutely.
and have, it's
Absolutely.
clips or things like that. And
Yeah, it's got to be authentic.
yeah, absolutely.
An example of that, of how we've done that, if we have an actor, and I'll use Jack Black as the most recent
Yeah.
example.
Oh,
he
yes,
was
I
here
saw
for
him.
Kung Fu
Yeah, he's
Panda. What we find is, so if he was to come on and sort of have some sort of message about his movie, that's one thing. But if he comes on and says, "Hi Australia, I
Yes.
see you,"
Yeah.
and it's personalised to this market, it just has more traction. Or to that point, like an Australian location. So it makes me think of our Barbie campaign. We called it Barbie at Bondi.
Yeah.
And that just, it had a bit of a ring to it, but it actually was uniquely Australian. People felt pretty proud to see our famous beach under the spotlight. So I do think often locations as well.
It just makes me think, how lucky we're working in the industry we are, that
my
it's so
God.
dynamic and creative and we
are
have those
so
opportunities.
lucky.
Yeah.
I just so many people say, "My gosh, you've been working in that industry for such a long time." It's like, are you serious? if you worked in this industry, our
Yes.
industry, you would understand why. It's just a playground, I think, of creativity. There's every new film and every new TV series is its own unique brand.
My turn?
Although I just keep on answering anyway.
Oh, I love it. How do you use your TikTok community to change your marketing strategy or influence creative?
Obviously, I think within the TikTok ecosystem, there is the role of influencers,
Yeah.
creators that can come to the table and work with our content. You just have
Yeah.
to, I think it's, again, I use the word authenticity because it's about aligning your product, your brand with, an influencer that really loves it. It's genuine, a
Yeah.
genuine marriage of the two, and they're not being directive about how they use it. Obviously have brand guardrails, but not being directive. So I think
Yeah.
that's the other thing that with TikTok as a platform, what we can learn through working with influencers and creators.
This year or I should say last year for the first time, we actually partnered with TikTok, the TikTok Awards.
Oh, right.
As
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
streaming
Sponsor.
partner
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
and
yeah,
sponsor. Yeah. And for me, it was just an amazing, amazing experience to see the power of the creators and, what they can do and the diversity and creating made for format content. We even actually had a casting booth for F-Boy Island there. Which was great, like amazing fashion and, personalities. So
It's the diversity,
a huge,
right?
Yeah,
it's the diversity you can find
it's
on
incredible.
the platform.
Yeah.
How have you adapted your team to take advantage of the TikTok opportunity?
Oh gosh, my team are just so personally immersed in TikTok anyway.
Yeah.
And so we actually have sort of stand-ups every morning. We come in and we do half an hour, we all get together and talk about what's trending, what they've seen, what content we've got coming
cool.
up.
Yeah.
So I think that's how we sort of stay on top of it. We've also got a Slack channel where we just drop ideas. So it's a daily thing with us, and I think because
You have to be current, don't you? You have to sort of make it something that's part of-
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Okay. What's something happening in culture right now that gets you excited as a marketer?
I love what Gen Z represents. This audience is different and look, I guess every generation we go, well, this audience is different, but the power of that audience, once they
Is
get
incredible.
behind something, oh my God, it just, and with a platform like TikTok, you've got the scale there. It can just go like wildfire.
You're looking at, sort of the aging population, and the way that we used to look at it as in, when you retire at 65, you're old. Whereas that's not the case anymore.
And yes, they are on TikTok too. And I think there is probably, for all of us, that for our brands, there's definitely more untapped.
Yeah, an opportunity there. Yeah, for me, those two cohorts in particular are really interesting, which sort of sit outside of like usually the sweet spot of where we market.
What's your approach to organic versus paid marketing, and how do you decide what to amplify?
I think it's like what we do is we just, again, keep an eye on what's working and what's not. And as soon as something takes off, we then like make sure that we, sort of connect that into our like paid campaigns. So yeah, it's a work in progress, but like we're starting to learn more as we go, and understand that, sort of they do need to work together. And it's probably in about 8 months. We've gone from like, 30 to 50K followers across all of our social platforms to we hit 1 million today. We just, it's through the roof. So
wow. Is there any,
super.
can you identify any particular?
Yeah, we brought our social team in-house, and they're just living and breathing our brand and exactly.
Are they an external agency you've got in-house, or you
hired in-house, and they, they live and breathe our brand, and we've been, testing things, and like I said, moving quickly, testing, learning, and also just allowing them to, have the freedom and, and to do that. And like I said, we connect every morning and on, sort of what's happening, what's not. Sometimes I feel like I'm so out of it because I'm not across all the trends that they know about straight away. How do you tackle a movie series launch to ensure it's going to be a cultural hit?
And we have a saying, and it especially applies with the TikTok platform, and particularly when you're also talking to Gen Z, it's fuel it, don't force it. An example of that would be, and this trend started with TikTok, and it was called the Gentle Minions, the Gentle Minions. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
It was one local guy who posted on TikTok, him and like 20 friends, all dressed up in suits. They all went to the movies together. This started to get some momentum, and what happened was the studio, social listening, which is very important, saw what was going on, and very subtly said, "We see you and we salute you," or something like that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
That sort of just fueled it even further. And what happened, this little Gentle Minion phenomenon started in Australia and then went to the US, to UK, and suddenly you had Gen Zs turning up for the film in suits. So I guess that's an example of fanning it, not forcing it, and really you have to allow the culture to unfold with the audience. I don't think brands can do too much to get in the way too much. I think we have to be very cautious of the balance.
I don't know if you've seen the trend at the moment on TikTok. I'm looking for a man in finance, and it's that song that everyone's just like sort of like remixing.
Yeah.
So we saw that and because most of our team are avid TikTok users. Our program has actually set up a carousel that was called Looking for a Man in Finance, and we had Succession, Industry, all all those titles there. It's become much more, if you're more fluid with that, it's much more powerful, and that's what we found. It's like, just move fast, learn from mistakes, and just, that's a great, I'm going to use that when I go back to fuel, not force. I think it's perfect.
Who's it, my turn? Is it my turn? I think
so.
It's my turn.
Okay.
How do you ensure your team hits growth targets while maintaining culture of experimentation and innovation?
Well, to be honest, I think a culture of experimentation and innovation actually goes hand in hand with growth. I think that if you don't experiment and you don't take measured risks most of the time, then you end up being mediocre. So I really encourage that in our team, and I empower our team. If something doesn't work, you move on, you learn from it, and you try something else. I think it's my turn now. Okay. How do you measure creativity?
The best measure we have is does it create some, are we laughing? Are we like, oh my God, that's, how are we feeling about it?
And that's important, isn't it, when you're also thinking about, sort of creativity and developing a campaign or whatever it may be, is like thinking about who, or absolutely understanding and defining like who it's for.
That's one of the things I do like about TikTok for us. It's there are so many niche audiences within that, that you can actually be very targeted if you want to talk to someone about food, food talk, whatever that might be. You can find an audience, despite the scale. I think you can find your niche audience on the platform, which for us is obviously, because not every film or piece of content is meant for all audiences, we call them 4-quad, right? So you do the same. Sometimes it's just meant for the Gen Zs or, the baby boomers or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
My turn. Do you think brands deserve a place in culture?
I don't think brands deserve anything. I think that you need to earn. I think that's the key there, is that brands have been incredibly successful, within culture, but it is that if you just allow it to, sort of live and breathe.
I think brands, they have the ability to really influence behaviour and beliefs. The one that comes to mind is, say, the CommBank with the Matildas.
Yes, yeah.
And, what that brand did with that property was really created an opportunity for women in sport. So it's an interesting one, and I think with the brands can do a lot of good, but also there's no one size fits all.
Yes.
I think we both agree on that. It's
Absolutely.
Not just one size fits all.
Is that mine?
Yeah,
I keep forgetting we keep chatting and it's
snap.
Oh, actually, this is for you to me.
Oh, okay. Okay, which binge series or film has seen the biggest impact from your TikTok activity?
Oh gosh,
it's a hard one, isn't it?
It is a hard one,
Yeah.
but one of the shows which I actually have recommended to everyone when I arrived today as well was is Mr. In Between. It was actually a TikTok user over in the States that started just cutting clips. One of the clips just took off on TikTok. It actually translated through to sort of performance on our platform, and we have done it in other ways where we've actually. I'm just trying to think of some other titles which we've actually cut and has been instigated from us. And I was just saying before also, Jennifer Coolidge, even in her days of Stifler's mum for us, we cut that up, and that just does really well on TikTok. So it's a little bit of a mix of, new and old for us. A lot of
and we do the same. We go back to the archives and, we'll pull out films from the 90s or something, and then
that have a resurgence.
Exactly. And exactly. It's my turn. What is something you've learned from your brand being on TikTok?
I mean, as a marketer, sort of being around for a while, TikTok, I had to really, sort of learn how to, sort of embrace and just let go and, sort of allow that to, allow it to work its magic. So for me, it has been a great learning, but it's been more fun because you can have fun with it.
And I guess we don't stop learning, because as much as really great slick content can work on TikTok, so too we found is the behind the scenes of on the go.
I 100% agree. And another example from our point of view is with Colin from Accounts, we captured some really great behind the scenes, sort of content where, you're just seeing them sort of being themselves, and it's, there are, mistakes or and it's kind of rough footage as well a lot of the time, or raw footage a lot of the time. It works incredibly well. People love that.
Yeah. So the hard part is over. Now it's time to have some fun. Please draw your favourite trend from the past year on the whiteboard. You'll then take turns in guessing what the other person has drawn.
Okay.
Got Leonardo over here. She's doing the plans for my new home.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Do you want me to go first? Or?
I can go first because I have a feeling you might miss this one.
It was
Am I showing everybody that?
Yeah. Let me guess.
Let's guess.
Girl math.
It's girl math. Yeah.
Oh, I love that one
too. I love girl math because it's true, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
What is it? If you use cash, it doesn't really count, right?
Yes.
That's right. If I don't spend money today, it means I've saved money and I can do double tomorrow.
Yeah, I love that one. I love it. I've just gone more recent for me. That's in my head and I can't get out.
For me. The boy, you said it before.
I wish I had colour. I could make his eyes blue, but looking for
a man
in finance.
in finance. Looking for a man in finance. Yes, I am.